In this video, I'm going to tell you about the new expansion for Kill Team, Commanders. So coming to a store near you very soon, or depending on when you watch this, it's already available, is a new expansion for Kill Team called Commanders. It comes in this box, and inside the box, there's pretty much just a book and some cards and some tokens. There's not much else to it. But it's a pretty good little setup, and it really helps to extend your Kill Team game and give you a lot of new options to how you can play with your friends. So what Commanders does is it allows you to add generally one commander to your Kill Team. If you're playing matched play, normally your Kill Team is 100 points, which if you've been playing any Kill Team, you've probably played some games like that. What this does is it allows you to bring your armies to 200 points, your Kill Teams, and then add also a commander. And the commander takes up some of that 200 points. All of the different commanders that are in this book are designed so that they have a level. There's just a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, much like the specialists in the standard game of Kill Team. Here's the difference. If you're playing a campaign, your commander never levels up. So if you start out with a level 2 commander, then that's where that commander is going to stick for the rest of the game. So they have points values for all the different commanders at all the different levels. And admittedly, some of the level 4 commanders are nearly 200 points. So, that's kind of an interesting little thing. But there are also plenty of them that are far less than that. So in some of those situations, let's say the Imperial Guard, even their Lord Commissars at level 4 are still only like in the 60s as far as points, which means that in a 200-point game, you'll have him, let's say, and then maybe you'll add some more other troopers or whatever to your Kill Team, and now you've got your 200-point, Kill Team. Whereas in, say, like some sort of Space Marine thing, your commanders might be 112, 120, 130 points, and then, you don't have as many points now for your regular troops, so you kind of want to be able to play that game and see how it works out for you. But that's the trick. There are tons of options. For every single different faction that you've currently got in Kill Team, there are, I believe, at least one. There's a couple factions where there's only one choice, like the Death Watch only really have the one. The, what's the Death Watch guy called? Grey Knights also only have one. They've got the Brotherhood Champion, and you've got the Watchmaster from the Death Watch. But there are other ones where there are 4 different types of commanders. In the Astartes, you've got Librarian, Primaris Chaplain, Primaris Lieutenant, or Primaris Captain that you can take as your commander, which gives you tons and tons and tons of fun hobby options. Not only just, I'm trying to think about like what's the best way to try to win, but also I've got all these extra cool models in my basement, or I see them on the wall at the game shop. Which ones do I want to actually use to add to my cool Kill Team that I've already been playing with? And of course, that's how I've been thinking about it. So I've already, at this point, and I'm going to show you some images here, put together a Tech Priest Dominus for my Adeptus Mechanicus. I've also put together Tech Priest Engineer for my Mechanicus. They're already done. I've also got my Necron Overlord for my Necron army, which is really cool because I've never built that model before. It's kind of interesting the way it goes together. I feel like it's a slightly older single sprue plastic. It went together pretty well, but it didn't go together as well as some of the newer things that I've come across. So it's just interesting to me as a hobbyist to go, oh, that's really interesting how that doesn't quite fit together the way I would think it did. I've also got Watch Captain here, and I've also got, let's see, for my Imperial Guard, I have a Lord Commissar who I have modified, and I've given him I've taken away the Power Sword and given him a Power Fist. The Power Fist I stole is a strong word. I took from a Betrayal at Kelth box set. There's the plastic 30K Marines in there, and because they're 30K, they're not covered in skulls and everything like that yet, so I grabbed that Power Fist, cut off his hand and all that stuff, modified it, and it went together really, really well, and I like the look of it. There's also the Tempestus, I think, Prime. He's the big Scion guy with the cloak and all that stuff. He's a used model that I got on eBay. All the rest of these are either models that I quickly picked up from my game shop since I've received this book early, or honestly stuff I already had in the basement, some of it which I was going to use for Shadow War Armageddon. Shadow War Armageddon, which was a previous game that they made last year in 2017, had the ability to, you built a kind of a kill team, they called it something else, but then you could every once in a while in certain missions bring in these kind of fancier people, but you had to sort of pay. There was this resource that you got from game to game, and you had to spend some of that resource to be able to bring in some slightly fancier people. A lot of these models are kind of from that, at least in some degree, and then you can kind of bring them in and do that. Like definitely the Lord Commissar here was originally going to be part of my Shadow War group for my Imperial Guard, but now he's going to be a high or a Lord Commander, Lord Commissar, whatever, for my Imperial Guard in Kill Team. And so the hobby aspect, being able to kind of grab these other cool guys, modify them, these other cool heroes and things like that, and add them to your army, for me, that's a huge part of it. But I hear you, and you're saying, but Uncle Adam, what about the rules? What about the actual game itself? Well, as I said, you're expanding the point limits. You're going from 100-point games in your narrative games and your matched play, and even your campaign stuff, at least to start, and you're going up to 200. So depending, again, on which level you purchase your commander model at, if you're buying a level 1, a level 2, level 3, level 4, you have then the ability to take that number out of the 200 and then you add into the rest of your normal troops. Now, these commanders are not just like, oh, hey, they're a bigger person and they maybe have more wounds or more abilities or whatever. They also have traits. So there's specific traits that you can pay points on as well that will give you different abilities. You also have specific tactics, and they also have specialisms, because they're kind of like specialists. You can have the psyker, the melee, the leadership, the logistics, the ferocity, the fortitude, all those different types of kind of specialisms that you can add to your model. And each model in all throughout all the listings, and there's 41 different commanders for you to choose from across all the lists. Each one of them has the ability, or has a list that says they can do this one, this one, this one, and then if it doesn't list it, well, then they can't do that one. So maybe they can't do fortitude, but they can do ferocity or whatever. So you kind of look at the data sheets and go, okay, well, these guys can do this particular commander can choose this, this, or this. And then it has basically the same type of chart as you had the specialisms in the regular book. So you've got your level 1, and it's like a tech tree. So you can take this one, and then if you take this one, you have to take these 2. You can't take these over there until you get to 4. And it's basically the same thing as the specialisms in the regular kill team, except they're very specific and generally just for the commanders. What else comes in this package? Well, you get a bunch of cards with a lot of the tactics and all that kind of stuff in a little sleeve. You get a bunch of the big unfilled roster cards, roster cards, which you've seen in some of the other sets as well. And then you get some very specific tokens, which are not a necessity, but they're there. Because a lot of these models have 4, 5, maybe 6 wounds, they've given you some different wound markers that are 1, 3, and 5, so you can kind of go through a lot of that different stuff. You also get these special auras and psyker tokens as well. The trick is that there's a lot more psychic stuff going on with the commanders than there was in the base core book for Kill Team. So that's kind of cool. Obviously, guys like the Librarian and things like that, they have psychic abilities. But almost all of the models in the commander set have something known as an aura. Now, in regular 40K, a lot of times, you would have, let's say, a Space Marine Chaplain. And that Space Marine Chaplain basically has a special rule called Litanies of Hate. And that says, okay, well, any units that are, hand-to-hand combat style units that are within a certain distance of this particular, chaplain get a bonus when they're in the fight phase as opposed to when they're in the shooting phase or whatever, that kind of stuff. And that's just standard. In Commanders, it's designed so that you have to pay command points to make that happen, and then it's what's known as an aura. So one of the reasons you have these aura tokens here is to remind yourself that you've fired off the aura on your particular commander, and that now you have to go quick check the book or the card or whatever to figure out, yeah, that's right, he's giving +1 to hit on all people who are shooting until the end of the phase. Those auras do not last the entire game, you have to pay for them, and they last for till the end of the battle round, and then you have to pay for them again later on. So it's giving you some more strategic ability. It's giving you more things to spend your command points on. If you're ever finding yourself at the end of the game and you don't have any, you still got 4 or 5 command points, well, you should probably think about trying to spend more of them as you play. I need to follow that rule myself. So I'm really jazzed about the new addition, mainly just because it allows me to tweak my kill teams and make them a little bigger if I want to go down that road. I could generally, in most situations, just find a single commander model, and if I buy him or her at the right level, I can make it so that I basically could just add that model directly onto my current already 100-point roster. But depending on the army, I might have to try to maybe knock a person or two off of my current roster to put a much more powerful commander in, or I might be able to add more folks to my roster because my commander, like in the case of the Lord Commissar there, is maybe only, depending on which level I put him at, maybe 40, 50, 60 points. So it gives you a lot of options, and it's new stuff that you can do. But here's the trick. It's not required. It's not something where you're like, oh, well, now everybody's got to do it this way. If you want to play with an opponent, you both have to be using the commander rules in the specific scenario. The scenario has to say that you're using commander rules and then you're using 200 points. So it's not a situation of like a pay-to-win sort of thing. If you want to start playing with these and you and your friends want to go that direction, knock yourselves out. But if you don't, you can still keep playing the regular kind of kill team and stick with those particular sets of rules. It's very modular in this way. And that's one of the things I also really like about it, is the fact that, it's one of the things I like about kill team in general. Most of the people that I'm teaching kill team to, I'm not really using any of the tactics other than the reroll. We're usually using the specialisms, but a lot of times, obviously, we forget or whatever. But as you do it more, you kind of get that part nailed down. And then as you play more with that person, then you can start looking at a lot of the cards that are not just rerolls and things like that, but the other tactics cards. At that point, then, you could start moving into Commander. And not only is it a situation where, oh boy, it's great that I can now use this specific model that I've been sitting on that I think is really cool, and I can use that model not just in regular 40K, but I can actually use it in my normal kill team, expanded 200-point kill team. But it also allows you to play the games very differently, strategically, than you would a normal kill team game. You're still playing on the same size board, and it just gives you more kind of oomph, if you want to go that way, to your kill team.